class today to be able to support everyone else. And then you have a reference for the midterm and things like that. All right, so we want to do really quick. We must use APA now. So what you've noticed before is that I've been giving you hints or suggestions of how to improve your APA. For your midterm, you must use APA. For all observations moving forward, you must use APA. So very important for you to use it. Two things really quick that I think is very helpful. Make sure you include your full reference at the end and in-text citation that matches up with that full reference. If you do those two things, you're going to be good. I think that's the biggest thing that is there, right? Your in-text citation is very easy. Parentheses, Santrac, comma, P for page, period, 78 is the page number, enter parentheses, and there you go. So just making sure that you're doing that is going to be helpful. And when we get to your midterm part, I'll show you how you can use APA, okay? And I can show you, I don't want a big S, I don't want you to recreate stuff. It's just making sure you're using in-text citation, your full reference at the end. All right.
Use it on the discussion boards or no?
Yes, and for your discussion board. So everything we're doing, if you're going to want to improve your ability to share your knowledge of information you're learning from class or from the text and make connections, I would suggest using APA, okay? The bottom line is this, my friends. For some of us, we don't teach APA beforehand. It's a lot of MLA and things like that. But whenever you're in the world of doing research, whenever you're in the world of being able to connect other resources to your knowledge that can back up your opinion with evidence, APA is the way we go. And for those of you that are going to move on to your BA, I've had plenty of students say, thank you so much, because as I moved over to NAU or U of A, it's helped me out immensely. And also for those of you that are going to move on to your master's, when you create your thesis, that is what you create when you do your master's, your master's, it's an APA format. And actually your thesis becomes your first chapter of your dissertation of your actual doctorate program. So to me, if I can give you these skills now, and they just become part of who you are later, and do it in a way that it's part of your everyday work, I want to give you those tools as you move forward. And I think what you're going to notice more as you continue your education, it's less quizzes, it's less of that information and more of research papers and more of presentations and things like that. And so when you're doing that kind of work, you want to back it up with evidence from other resources that supports your opinion. So this is me getting you in the world of science, and child development is a science. If you get a child development degree out of AWC, it's not an Associates of Arts, it's Associates of Science, right? And so wanted to do that for you really quick. We have a fun class lined up for you guys today. And what I want you to do, we're going to just take less than 4 minutes. I'm going to get you in groups again really quick, and you're going to tell me what the top 3 things you've learned so far. And I'm actually going to connect this to your midterm. Okay, I'm going to connect this to your midterm and actually give you a leg up around your midterm. So let's do this. Let's create groups, and just really quick. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. 1 being the most important, then 2 and 3. Okay. So let's go ahead and create some groups here. Breakout rooms. All right, we're going to create 4 breakout rooms that will have 4 or 3 of you. So really quick, in less than 3 to 4 minutes, go 1, 2, 3. We've kind of done this 2 weeks ago, so it should be a little easier of a routine. All right, go to your groups and have fun and tell me the top 3 things you've learned so far this semester.
Recording in
All right, everyone's coming back and joining us. Very awesome. All right. Waiting for a few more to come back from group 3. Finishing their conversation. All right. All right, here we go. Everyone's back. Perfect. I'm going to share my screen one more time, my friends. Okay. Here we go. All right, so what I'd like for you to tell me, the 4 groups we had, what were your top 3? So let's go to group number 1 really quick. Top 3.
We said the 80-90, nurture versus nature, and tetralogy.
All right, cool. All right, group 2.
So we also said number 1 was 80-90. Our number 2 was prenatal care. And number 3 was the different theories, though primarily Vygotsky and Piaget.
All right, group number 3.
I can't remember if I was number 3 or number 4.
I don't remember our group number either. I think it might have been that. We said 80-90 and nature versus nurture. And then the cognitive development.
Awesome. And we're going to continue a little more on our cognitive development this week with a term called executive function skills. And I'm going to tell you this much. I think executive function skills in your book is maybe like a page, if that. But I think this is the hottest thing out right now. It's exciting. It's amazing. It is something that if I was to give you these tools, you can make some of the biggest impact with children and also with young adults and also for yourself as well. And I'm going to make a relationship of how important these skills are. Okay. This is why I spend this whole week just on this part of the chapter and kind of go away from the book and use tools straight from Harvard University and give you some additional book tools that go beyond the book. Okay. All right. Last group, top 3.
So it was similar. We agreed that number 1 was 80-90. Number 2 was prenatal care. And then I kind of chimed in and said, I noticed that staring at other people's kids is kind of boring when it's not your own kid. So, I mean, that's what I took off from all these observations, but it's not in the book. So number 3 would be theories.
All right, awesome. All right. So what's interesting is your number 1 doesn't even come from your book, right? The 80% of critical brain development happens by age 3, 90% by age 5 before they even hit kindergarten. And it's all about those connections. Remember, the connections all over the brain that set up the tone for a strong brain development. The first way that we can improve those connections is through sensory development. Okay. And then you have these different theorists that have said, this is how we develop. Remember, it's not proven in fact, they are theories. There's a difference between fact, proven, and then these theories. And there's different theorists out there, right? And then there's 2 huge theorists that you've learned about, Piaget and Vygotsky, that we use them in how we teach children, right? And I wanted to focus on you to show you that these theories have shaped our American public education system of how we teach. And yes, if you go back to the, our couple of first chapters in this class, we talked the importance of prenatal and that video that I showed you, and how precious just life is, right? And the importance that we have as leaders, if it's as a parent, uncle, aunt, neighbor, whatever it may be, we have the opportunity to support the next generation. And I told you in this class, I'm going to have the opportunity to change your life, because as you're making these observations of other children and doing these things, you start to reflect on your own life. Believe it or not, that's part of the goal here, is that as you're doing this work, you start to think about yourself and start to connect yourself into this work. And I think this is a huge chapter where I really get to connect you and the power that you have to support others. And we're going to do that with this week. Awesome. I'm going to make this connection towards the end because you have already answered one of the questions for your midterm. You just did it right now. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and be able to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. I'm going to save some time. I'm actually going to open the midterm and we'll review it before I end today's class. Everyone with me so far? All right. So the phrase of the week is executive function skills, okay, and self-regulation. And so we're going to talk about right here, this is where we're at now, executive function skills. And I want to read this quote to you. Somebody once said that in looking for people to hire, you look for these three qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if you don't have the first, the other two will kill you. You think about it, it's true. If you hire somebody without integrity, you really want them to be dumb and lazy. Warren Buffett. I'm going to give you this opportunity to get into groups again. And this is what I want you to do. I'm going to take a wide turn and I'm going to connect this really well, okay? And I'm just not going to give you what executive functions are. I want to connect executive functions to our real world, okay? So what I want you to do, I want you to pretend that you just won $500 million. And with that $500 million, you're going to create your own company, okay? And you want to hire someone to be the CEO of that company. Okay. You're going to hire someone to run your business because you're going to be so busy out there traveling and having a good time and enjoying your wealth and having someone make more wealth for you. Okay. I want you to go into a small group. And what I want you to do is list the top 5 skills or qualifications or things that you want this individual to have. What must be those 5 things for someone to have to run your business? This is yours. It ain't nobody else's. This is yours, right? You don't want it to crash and burn. I'm going to give you a good, I would say 8 to 10 minutes and check in really quick and see where we're at. But let's do this really good whole group real quick. Someone share, what do you think those skills or qualifications you would want someone to have really quick? Just name it out loud. What would be that? Let's get the ball rolling before we get into groups.
I would
Good
say selfless devotion.
Devotion. What else?
Good communication.
Good communication skills. Okay, so you're on the ball. Okay, you already know this. I don't have to tell you. So what I want you to list is number 1 being the most important, all the way down to number 5. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. But I want you to list them in order of what you feel. According to our quote that we have here, it's integrity would be the number 1. According to this quote, I want what your group is going to say what the top 5 is. And then I'm going to take your top 5 and I'm going to play magician. I don't know what your top 5 is. I don't even know what you're going to say in your groups. You don't even know you're going to come into groups. But I'm going to connect your top 5 to executive function skills. And that's how important I'm going to make it into our class today. Okay, so go ahead and go into group. Let me do this. Let me create the groups again. Boom. We'll go ahead and open those. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just open 3 groups. Let me recreate 3.
Oh,
All right, and that gives you about 5 people in each group. It's a good amount, okay? All right, so we're gonna have about till about 5:09, 5:10 to do this, and then we'll use that to get right into our lesson, okay? Once again, top 5 qualifications and skills that you're gonna hire as your CEO to run your business. Ready, set, go. All right, here we go. All right, 3 groups, top 5. All right, group number 1, give me your number 1 skill or asset, or what do you want them to have?
Is that us? I think that was us.
I think so. I keep forgetting.
Right. So number 1, I think everybody pretty much had said that integrity was good. Like being with being loyal also kind of like ties into that. Number 2, we talked about being charismatic, which like kind of goes into being like compassionate, and like even Alexis had mentioned like even being bilingual with that would be really good. We talked about, for number 3 was like more so like wisdom and like work experience, like knowing things, having a lot of life experiences, work experience, more so than just being smart about it. We also talked about being adaptable and open-minded. And then the last one we talked about would have been creative. Being able to kind of also kind of ties into being like adaptable and open-minded, but it's got its own little shtick there.
Like it. All right, group number 2.
I think it was us. So I don't know. I don't know if we were group number 2, but
Go for it.
we chose integrity as the first one,
Hmm.
and then organization,
Hmm.
and then responsibility, and then being empathetic,
Pathetic.
and then having good communication skills.
All right, last group.
So we picked good communication skills. Also with what's it? Integrity is more specifically the loyalty and trustworthy aspect of it. And then we also said they should have good time management.
Hmm.
They should be responsible, and they should be experienced.
All right, I could spell. All right. Awesome. So I see some trends here of being loyal and trustworthy. That takes a relationship, right? That takes someone that has some morals and ethics behind them, right? And that's someone that you're going to build a relationship over time, right? I see experience there. So someone that has some experience in the business or industry. Communication skills, how they talk, how they work with others, how, I think when it comes to communication skills, it's just not always how you talk, but more importantly, how you listen, right? It goes both ways, and being able to listen and learn. And to that fact, I love the ability, where it's being adaptable and open-minded. And I think to that first group, creativity goes hand in hand with that, right? You can't be a closed-minded person and not have creativity. It's that open-mindedness, listening to others, that allows creativity juices to flow. Responsible, organized, empathetic. Empathetic, I think, is a huge one. I have seen empathy, I have seen that muscle have to be flexed during the pandemic, 1,000%, all around. I will tell you this, I think in the world of education, as schools closed down during the beginning of COVID, and parents were then forced to figure it out of how they would educate their child, support their child, online learning and things like that. I think a lot of people gained respect for educators at that point, 1,000%. I think people really learned the power of a teacher and the value they bring into our lives. Communication skills, I think time management was a huge one too. How you manage your time and your projects, I think is very key. I will say this, I think this is one of the skills that we kind of all learn when we're in college is time management, right? And I will say this, a lot of you have different things on your plate. You know, we got students that sometimes are being parents themselves, juggling a career, a job, juggling a lot of things all at once. And it really comes down to time management and how you value that. You know, that is probably one of the top. You guys don't know, but on my side, I run a side business that is as a presenter, speaker, facilitator, or trainer. And one of the things that I've been asked to do in the past is resume building, time management skills, a lot, even this training you're getting today. I've spent some time at schools doing 3 or 5 days straight on executive function skills, and I'm breaking this down to you guys in less than an hour, and stuff like that. The importance of brain development, the importance of first 5 years, it's goes on and on. But for me personally, being a father of 3 little girls, being a husband, having a pretty big family, it's juggling of my family life, my work life, and my work life. At the end of the day, it's like I have 3 jobs. I have my first things first job, I have my AWC job, and then I have my consulting firm that I run on my own. So I think time management is huge, and I think we grow over time with time management, but I think that's always huge for a business and things like that.
Professor Ortiz, I have a question. Do you ever
Yeah.
find time to do like extra things, like stuff that you enjoy yourself? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't want to take, I can go on to that. So music is huge. I always find time for music. I was just telling my wife the other day, I want to set up my turntable again and get that going, just to mess around and have some fun with the girls. But I'll tell you one thing, believe it or not, call me nerdy, whatever it is, but during the pandemic, when we were looking for things to do at home, when I was little, I always wanted like a pretty fancy RC car. And I remember buying it at the swap meet and fixing it. And the first time I used it, it broke and it crashed. And I was so aggravated with the whole experience. I said, forget it. And so we have 2 RC cars at home that we, I think it's important for my girls to learn how things work. And if they break, we can fix it. And they've redone their whole front suspension, rear suspension. We've added new faster motors, so the thing can go 60 miles per hour now and things like that. But the faster you go, sooner they break as well. So, you know, yeah, you know, we've done that here lately. Big Lakers fan, big Padres fan, and things like that. So yeah, I think it's always important that you find time to do those things. Those things kind of provide you a little energy, and those things are sometimes things that you forget about when you have so many other things, but sometimes that you need for your own soul and things like that. And so, you know, for me, it's reading as well, and finding a book to read before I go to sleep and things like that. So yeah, there has to be time for that. You know, I will say this though, my time management, I try to figure it out where I can do things that I like to do and then share that with my daughters as well. So the whole DJing thing, the RC car thing, and things like that. I'm pretty excited actually too. I need to go check out the new RC track they have at 4th Avenue Middle School. They just took some dollars and are building a RC track for those students to learn. So cool stuff that you can learn in RC cars. So yeah, great question. All right, let me get off my soapbox, get back to our class. Here we go. You guys nailed it. I mean, I think you listed some really great things there that people need to be successful, right? And I think those common trends that I see, it's integrity, loyal, organization, communication skills, responsible. It's funny because no one said they have to have a doctorate. No one said they have to have a BA or master's, right? You guys didn't say that. Really quick though, I want you to be honest here. As you were picturing the individual, right? How many of you pictured a male when you were thinking about this? Raise your hand. Were any of you actually picturing a female when you thought about this too? Yeah.
I said he or she. I said he or she, so.
Yeah, or maybe you didn't even picture that, right? Data will tell us, though, that the most part when we start thinking about CEOs or directors, for many of us, we right away think as that it goes to a male. And we'll get into that later in the semester when we get into gender and gender stereotyping. So I just wanted to make that connection really quick, and I'll bring you back to this class when we get there. This is what I want to do. What if I can tell you that we can use the power of the first 5 years, the 80-90 that you guys put down together in the first 10 minutes of class, okay? All of you came up with 80-90 as number one, so I don't have to repeat that. What if I told you these skills that we have right here in our screen, that they can be best learned during the first 5 years? And actually, they can be best learned during the first 5 years to actually be used then in middle school and then be used during adulthood. Meaning these skills that you're looking for, they can be best used and trained during the first 5 years, and we can help support individuals to have these skills before they even go into kindergarten. How do we do that, though? And that's where I turn to my friends at Harvard University. I'm going to take you there really quick. I haven't even told you what executive function is. I haven't told you anything about that yet, and I'm about to get there. More importantly, before I get there, I wanted to make the connection because executive function is like, ooh, it's a fancy word. And when I go present it, oh my goodness, he's going to talk to us about executive function skills. And I sound really smart. At the end of the day, it's these things you just brought up right here. And we can actually allow our students to have these skills that we value, that we think are important. And do you go to school to learn how to be a good communicator in elementary school? Do we put you in school to learn how to be loyal? Do we put you in school to learn how to have organizational skills? I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that kind of class, right? But these are skills that we as parents, as leaders, that we can develop right before they even hit kindergarten. Okay, and that's what I want to send our attention to now. So let me close this out. Appreciate you guys' discussion. Appreciate you guys willing to work with me here. And I'm going to pull up a website really quick.
So pretty much what you're saying is based off that reading we had to do, right? Where the complexity of the teaching scheme gets more complex as you get older.
Yep.
And depending on what, like you said, like while I was reading that, it said some people do like puzzles and it gets more complex as you get older. For me, it'd be the same as like being an athlete. You start off very uncoordinated, and then as you get better, you make it harder and you progress and
Yep.
like developing, and you get more skills and more skills.
Like I can tell you this, it relates to like even your college career. Your 100 and 200 level classes, like you're learning a lot, right? Different things, different topics and themes. And then when you move into your 300 and 400, you learn about less, but you learn more about that focused topic. And then especially when you get into your master's and doctorate, you're focusing on one part. So let me give you an idea. Coming to college, AWC, taking classes everywhere, kind of general studies, and then you start to focus a little bit maybe on a major. And then your third and fourth year at a university is focused only on your major. So you're getting deeper into that major. And then when you get your master's, you're focusing on one component of that major. And then when you get your doctorate, you're doing research focused on a partial component of what you're doing in your master's. So we start to learn more about less as we move forward. And that's kind of our gradual work as well. So what I want to do is break it down to 3 key words now. So we know executive functions and self-regulation. I haven't taught it to you yet, and this is a quick video to go there really quick. But before we watch the video, I want to scaffold. Ooh, scaffold's a key word that you learned, right? I want to scaffold the instruction around things for you to be looking for when you're watching the video, okay? So it's these 3 things. And this is what I want to say. Executive function skills and self-regulation, it must be these 3 things working together or you're not doing it. It's not that you're focusing on one thing and that you're focusing on 2 or that you're focusing on 3. You're focusing on all 3 working at the same time. Okay, we're gonna play some games. We're actually gonna play a game in a little bit. Okay, but it's this. It's working memory. It's the ability to retain information in short periods of time and hold on to that for a longer period of time. Okay, and that things can change, but you can hold on to that. Mental flexibility. Oh, you talk about creativity, right? So be able to work in a system when rules change and not bend a lot of shape. And if something changes, say, okay, I can adapt, I can work, and I can work through this. Okay. And have the self-control. Set priorities, not be impulsive to your responsive. Not always lead with your emotion, but sit back, reflect, take a deep breath, and think about the next step. Time management. Whoa. So what you can start to see is that a lot of the things you talked about fit into these three categories right here. Right? All right, so we're going to play a game really quick. All right, let me get some paper out. And before we watch the video, I want to play this game. Okay. And let me do something here. All right. In this game, I'm going to play some music. And here are the rules of the game. I'm going to share them one time. Okay. Rules of the game are as follows. I'm going to play music. When the music stops, you have to be freeze. So what I'm going to have to do is I got to get everyone dancing in the movie. Okay. Pretend, go with me. We're recording this. I will put it on YouTube tonight. You don't follow directly. Everyone turn on your cameras, please. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get everyone moving and going, dance, do whatever movie you want. When the music stops, you're going to freeze. But what I want you to do, when you freeze, I will freeze too. And the same motion that I'm doing, I want you to do. So if I freeze like this, that's how you're going to freeze. Are you with me so far? Okay. All right. So let's go here. Let me get some music really quick.
Now,
what I'm gonna-
Todd, from a competition, Todd.
And so what I'm going to do here, here's the interesting thing. This is a game that preschool teachers play all the time, but they don't do this one little twist that I add to it that actually makes an executive function skill game. Okay. And these are things that I bring in my presentations, like you're doing it, but if you just add this one component, you can do so much more for 80-90. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to get this song going first. I have so many things open. Can you guys still hear me okay? Yes, thumbs up. Okay, cool.
Where everyone can chef. But the thing
Now here's a game that's kind of neat.
Was everyone able to hear the music? Yes?
Mhm.
All right. So because you can hear music, let's start dancing now. Are you ready? All right, here we go. When the music says freeze, you're going to freeze and then do what I do. Okay? 1, 2. Let's see if you guys can do a game as successfully. You know that there used to be that TV show, Smart as a 5th grader or 4th grader, whatever it is. Let's see if you can be smart as a preschooler. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
But when you hear the music with, don't want to see you move a bit. Now you can dance any way you please, but listen closely for the freeze.
Good job.
Now you can flip and you can flop and you can rock and roll style. And you can bounce and you can hustle, but don't ever move a muscle when you hear the music coming through the freeze.
All right, one more time. Let's finish the game. Yeah, down low. right, here we go. Last one. All right, good job, my friend. All right, this is going on YouTube tonight. We'll see if we can make some
No.
money off of this. No, this is awesome. So, all right, we played the game. I have scaffolded a little bit for you guys of what executive function skills are. Once again, it's these three things. Your book doesn't even really get into that. And it's the one thing that drives me crazy. I think your book is pretty solid, but this is where they're weak. And every year I complain to them, like, your next edition. And I guess they don't like me. They never think about the next edition, but it's okay. We found ways to go over that. So this is what I want to do really quick. We're gonna watch the video. While you're watching the video, I want you to think of three things. A, your group time, the things you thought about, and how this all makes sense to now the importance of executive function skills and self-regulation. Number two, these three phrases: working memory, mental flexibility, and self-control. And it's these three things working together, not separate, working together all at once that creates self-regulation and executive function skills. Number three, I want you to think about this fun game we played too, because in the video, you're going to learn how the fun game we just played actually improves executive function skills. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the video really quick. Yes, awesome. Let me just make sure I have the sound still on. All right, so we're gonna watch about a 5-minute video that I think Harvard University does an amazing job to share what executive function skills are. And then after that, we'll get into our midterm, okay?
Science tells us that brains, minds, are built, not born. And at the center of this dynamic architecture are a set of skills called executive function and self-regulation.
Children's self-regulation and executive function are key ingredients in their lifetime performance. It's not just about learning language or learning numbers or learning colors. We have to be able to work effectively with.
Yeah, did you guys tell me you want a CEO that knows how to write their name? Did you tell me you want a CEO that knows their colors and shapes? So what really is our important work in early childhood? Is it that or these skills? Think about it.
Others with distractions, with multiple demands. We have to be able to work effectively with others with distractions, with multiple demands. These actually are skills.
Isn't that the real world? You get a job and there's going to be distractions and there's going to be things that change your work middle of the day and then you have to adapt, right? Isn't this the real world that we have? We can teach kids how to support this while they're not even in kindergarten yet.
Skills that contribute to the productivity of the American workforce.
Look at your shapes. What should you have done next?
Educators, I think, are looking for just this sort of thing. And when we describe what we mean by executive function, they say, yes, that's it. That's exactly, the problem. These kids, they can tell me these rules, but they can't actually use them.
What's this? A toolbox. A toolbox.
What is executive function?
Safety goggles.
Probably the best way to think about it is sort of like an air traffic control system in the brain. Just like an air traffic control system has to manage lots of airplanes going on lots of runways and really exquisite timing and so on. A child has to manage a lot of information and avoid distractions. We really think of it as involving working memory and inhibitory control and mental flexibility. Take a situation where a child is having to take turns. So first of all, the child has to have inhibitory control. The child has to be able to stop whatever he or she is doing and let the other child take a turn.
Cute.
But when it's your turn again, you also have to remember what it is you're supposed to be doing. So that pulls on working memory. If the children who are taking the turns after you do something unpredictable, you have to be able to adjust what you're going to do next. And that requires mental flexibility. Children who are struggling with these capacities.
Just right there in that game, right? You can see how you're using all three skills at the same time, the same game that you got to experience and see with these children. A lot of times what preschool teachers do, they do freeze and allow kids to do their own freeze movement. That is great in the very beginning, but then you have to scaffold it and build it to the next level. And that's the piece that sometimes we forget.
Often look like children who just aren't paying attention, or children who are deliberately not controlling themselves.
If you don't have self-regulation, you act out and the teacher puts you in timeout, and so then you miss part of the learning that's going on, and then you are more upset because you're behind, and so you act out, and so you get this downward spiral.
How does executive function develop?
7 and +4.
In little children, and even in the infant and toddler years, you begin to see the roots of executive functioning skills. What's going on in our brains is unbelievably intricate and complicated.
The prefrontal cortex, or the front third of the brain, is important for executive function. But it's more than just prefrontal cortex. This region doesn't act alone. It's involved in controlling your behavior through its interactions with all other parts of the brain. The brain goes from a situation where you've got nearest neurons communicating very strongly with each other and ignoring the rest of the brain, to these widespread networks that are connecting these different areas. Executive function changes over the life course. It improves radically over the first few years.
I got a match prime.
It continues to improve throughout adolescence. It's not until early adulthood that you have the adult type networks that are very strongly activated that connect different brain regions together.
Let's take notes.
And imagine as an adult, those networks were actually being developed intentionally during the first 5 years of life. Imagine.
Also, we believe that executive functions can be trained.
It's just like going to the gym. So the more you practice in these areas, the stronger the capacity is likely to become, because you're helping to strengthen those neural connections.
You're at 24.
Slowly but surely, you're going to be able to step back, and that child's going to go into the world with these skills where they can get along with other people, change rules, and they can be flexible, and they can accomplish new things, and they're unafraid.
I got bit by my dog in my arm. Oh dear.
If we don't learn these skills during the childhood and adolescent years when they're coming online, we are really ill-equipped as an adult.
Once again, if we don't learn these skills during the first 5 years, then be able to practice them and enhance them as adolescents, it makes our adulthood years that much more difficult.
To hold a job, to maintain a marriage, to raise children, to get along with each other, to basically be part of a civil society.
You're okay.
All right, awesome here. Let me get out of here. Let me now go to here. Make one last point. This is a wonderful handout that the website has, and you guys have access to the website. But it says here is where our proficiency is at. And look at this, look at the first 5 years compared to when we are adults. There's not much of a difference there, is there? So imagine if we allow the time for our children to be able to learn them here, so they actually can use them in their adulthood. And then they start to dwindle down a little bit more, because this is when you're using them more, when you're in the workforce. But those CEOs you're looking for, they're going to be about right here. Imagine if they got it all through here, right? So what I want to end with, it's just not about, wow, that's great. So the executive function skills and self-regulation, these are important skills. Yay, wow, whippy. Now what I want to give you, which you have access to, is then how do you train them? How do you teach them, right? In the video, it's like going to the gym, right? So here's a great handout that is yours for free. And what it gives you is for each grade level, each age of a child, from 6 months to 18 months, you can start this work as young as 6 months. Things that you can be doing to enhance those brain connections, to reinforce those parts of the brain that hold all those 3 parts of executive function skills. From 18 months to 36 months, easy activities and games that you can do, okay? And now for our preschoolers, okay? Things that you can do, okay? Here's the whole idea of playing music in the freeze dance. It's right there. I'm not reinventing this stuff, you guys. It's there. It's awesome. Then when we get more into elementary, your board games become a great tool, because in board games, there's like different rules and changes. Let me give you one example really quick. We love the board game Sorry in our household, the one that has a little bubble and you pop it and you roll around and you move your little monito around and you try to get all your guys into your home. And then we watch the movie, The Trolls. We love that movie in our house. And there's a Trolls edition of that game. And what's awesome is there's different rules in that game. And then so my girls were used to playing one way, the original Trouble, and now they're playing Troll Trouble. It's like, oh my gosh, they added a whole new die. There's 2 dice now. Oh my God, like they totally changed. And I did that on purpose because I wanted them to have that flexibility. And it's like, which one do you want to play now? Oh, I like the rules better with this one, and things like that, right? So my wife and I are very intentional. I'm not saying they're perfect. There's a time where my little one will have a meltdown when she's doing her homework because her letter didn't come out right? But we're intentionally practicing this every single day, giving them choices, imaginary play. And a lot of things I come back to is right here of things that's important. Sports are a wonderful thing as well, because there's rules within sports, right? And sometimes in a game of those, you might get away with murder because the referee didn't see you do that and there's no foul committed, right? And things like that. And so how do you keep your cool in this situation? So here is the magic handout right here. You now have the tools. This tool alone changes your life. Now that you have the self-awareness of what the 3 things are for self-regulation, these are the things that employers are looking for. I can tell you 100% every time I hired someone as a principal, every time I was hiring someone, even my own current job as an employer, these are skills I'm looking for. I don't need you to be the expert. I can teach you that. I can teach you certain things, but are you have the open mind to want to learn? Are you going to be there on time? Do you have the time management skills to do your work? Are you able to work with others? Are you able to lead? And then are you able to sit back and allow someone else to lead? Right? Can you meet deadlines? These are the skills that we want. And this is what comes down into executive function skills. Okay? That was our week lesson. For this week, my friends, you do not have a discussion of the week. You do have a quiz, and that quiz is 100% extra credit. Took me a while there, I don't know why. So if you don't have time to do the quiz, don't do it. It's not going to hurt you, okay? But if you have time, it's going to help you with a little extra credit there, okay? Your focus this week is your midterm, and I'm going to get into it right now, okay? Your midterm is going to be short essays, okay? Short little questions that you're going to answer and write about. This is a writing class, so this is how we break it down, okay? And into it, each one has a point value. So let's go ahead and open it and end our class with sharing that together, okay? All right, is everyone able to see your Canvas on the screen? Yes? All right, awesome. All right, so if you go down to modules, My computer's working super slow. All right. What you're going to see is here's everything for week 8, chapter 7. Here's everything on Harvard, executive function skills. Here's your quiz. The quiz is due Sunday. You don't have to do it, but if you want an opportunity for extra points, you can do it there. Sound good? There is no discussion for this week because this week you're focused on your midterm, and your midterm is due on Sunday before midnight. Okay? So I really want you to focus on that. All right. And here is your midterm right here. So let me go to your view really quick. And we're going to take a good 4 to 5 minutes just to review it and go through that together. Okay. All right. So here's your midterm. It is worth 100 points. Let me tell you, when you come to class next week, the total amount of points that you can have is 340 points. That's the total, 340 points, okay, after our midterm. So right now the total is 240, and after our midterm it's 340. So what I'm going to do to give you your midterm grade, I'm going to take the amount of points that you have and divide that by 340, and that gives me A, B, C, D, okay? All right. All right, so it is due before midnight on Sunday the 10th, okay? Once again, I want to point this out because every semester doesn't fail. If you only give me 2 sentences for a response, you don't get credit for that. I need a strong paragraph for each question, okay? Now you can give me the answer really quick in a sentence or 2, but I want you to elaborate. This is your time to show me everything you know. And guess what? It's open book, it's open canvas. Give it to me, show me what you're made of, okay? I'm not trying to be tricky here. You have all the tools. I'm not saying pop quiz, answer on the spot. That's not life, my friend. So why would I do that to you? It's not about memorizing. It's about using the tools you have to be able to produce something very productive, okay? All right, so what you're gonna do, I don't want this emailed to me. You're gonna upload it right here, okay? And I will say this, what I would do if I was you, I would download this. It's kind of being funny with me to show it to you guys, hold on. All right, here we go. Let's zoom in. Okay, I would download this, save it on my computer, start answering it, save it, answering and save it, work on it, and then you just turn this in. There's no reason to re-event, okay? Here's your number 1, and then put your answer below number 1, use in-text citation in the paragraph, and then put your full references at the end. And that is good enough for APA format. Once again, use your in-text citation within the answer, and then your full reference after number 11. And that's good enough for APA. You guys with me so far? Yes? Okay. Question number 1. We're gonna go back to Alice and Ted. It takes us way back to the beginning. And you're gonna tell me, what are the characteristics of being resilient that Alice has that Ted was lacking? Some people give me their whole life story. I don't want their life story. Answer the question. What did Alice have that Ted didn't? Number 2, that's 10 points. From the standpoint of a professional and parent. Oh, you have 2 perspectives now. Answer through 2 perspectives. Don't give me 1 perspective because then that's part of the answer, not the whole answer. Explain why it's important for adults to understand child development in order to help a child reach their full potential. Why is this work so important? Man, you can give me tons of answers there. Number 3, what are the effects on a child when a mother has a stressful pregnancy? Number 4, both nature and nurture can influence whether a child becomes obese. Explain this statement in detail. Why is this statement true? The nature and nurture can both influence. Okay. Number 5, what are the effects to brain development in children who grow up in a deprived environment? Okay. Number 6, I told you this. I did not cover this in class, but I told you in that class, we're going to cover it in the midterm. How many hours of sleep should a child get each night? Children who do not get enough sleep, have interrupted sleep, run the risk of later developmental issues. What are they? Okay, so sleep is very important in our development. It's important to us as adults. Okay, if I don't at least get 6 hours, I'm not functioning at my 100%. Okay. Why is sensory play important for brain development? That goes back to sensory development. Okay. Compare and contrast the gross motor activities of a preschooler child to a child in grade school, a child in elementary school. Okay, number 8. Describe the zone of proximal development and one example of this form of learning. This is pretty relevant, kind of new, right? You've talked about that with our last class. How can Piaget and Vygotsky's theories be applied to educating children? Seems like a different way of posing the question that you had for your discussion, doesn't it? Right? You can see that all of this has been conversations that we've had in class, right? It's there. And now the book becomes your tool to add more details to your answer. Number 10, what are executive function and self-regulation skills, and what activities can you do with children to develop them and practice them? Oh my gosh. This is fresh right off the press right here, you guys, just for you. Extra credit. Number 11. During the first half of the semester, what are the top 3 things you learned? Please share in detail why you selected the top 3 and their importance. So I'm looking for all of this to give you the extra credit there. So you have the opportunity to get 110 points. You have the opportunity to replace a whole quiz right here, right? You answered this already in the first part of our class. My goal, my friends, is not to be tricky. It's not to trick you. Here is for you to tell me what you know. You can see a lot of this comes from our class time together. If you've been in class, you should not be surprised. The only one is that sleep one, but I warned you in that in the actual class. So there's only so much I can teach during a class. You have the opportunity, I believe, to answer all of these with maximum ability. You have your book, you have resources, you have videos that I give you every single week. I will end with this. I would love it that this semester be the first semester that I have a class that does not give me 1 or 2 sentences for one of their questions. One of the things that I see every semester too is that people forget to answer a question and they get 0 points for that. And you can see that will impact you right away if you miss one complete question. Comes back to a time management thing. You have every opportunity to get more than 100 points on this final and get up to 110. Okay. I wish all of you the best. I would suggest one last thing. Don't try to do all this in one night. Think about time management. You might want to look at it and say, you know what? I know the answer to these right away. I'm going to answer them right now and add some details. You know what? I need a little more help on these. I'm going to answer these later in the week and do some reading and get back into it and answer those. So you might want to do where you're doing 2 or 3 a night and things like that. Think about your time management. Think about what you have to do. Okay. This is due before midnight on Sunday. Okay. I wish all of you a wonderful week. Please do not assume I know what you're saying. Give it to me. Give me your A. Give me the best. Give me your Porsche. Give me your Lamborghini. Give it all. Because I know you can do it. You already did that in the first 10 minutes of class of doing your top 3. I know you know this, okay? It's not about memorizing. It's about owning the content. And all this is doing is giving you another chance to own the most important pieces of our class so far this semester, okay? I wish all of you a wonderful week. It's my pleasure to serve you and to have this opportunity for you guys to do an awesome job. I wish all of you a wonderful evening and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mr. Ortiz, I actually have a question. So I'm actually in the middle. I'm in the middle of my observation number 4.